Some people don't look dangerous, but they can destroy your peace, your confidence, and even your life. They don't carry weapons, but their words, energy, and manipulation can cut deeper than any knife. Some people drain your soul, control your mind, and quietly ruin your life. You might think you can spot toxic people, but these 6 are masters of disguise. Once you know who they are, you'll never see people the same way again. These are the 6 types you must stay away from. Before we begin, let me make something very clear. If you scroll past this video or click away now, you're not just missing another list. You're risking stepping blindly into relationships that could quietly unravel every part of your life. This isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about saving your future self from psychological wounds that take years to heal from. The people we're about to talk about don't shout, they whisper. They don't fight, they infect. They camouflage as friends, mentors, lovers, family. And once they're close enough, they don't just change what you think, they change who you are. But the good news, if you stick with me to the end of this video, you'll never look at people the same way again, and that's exactly what will save you. Let's dive in. The first type of dangerous person is the subtle saboteur. This is the person who smiles while slowly pulling apart your wings. They never openly attack you. That would be too obvious. Instead, they sabotage you in whispers, in rolled eyes, in backhanded compliments. Their poison hides behind phrases like, "I'm just being honest," or "I'm only saying this because I care." They're emotionally skilled manipulators, often posing as friends or even family, who slowly chip away at your self-esteem until you doubt your own abilities. Carl Jung warned us that the most dangerous personas are the ones we believe. The subtle saboteur does just that. They wrap their criticism in concern, and because we trust them, we let them in. The result? You become your own enemy, echoing their doubts within your own mind. And by the time you realize it, you're already small enough to fit inside their control. The second is the eternal victim. These people weaponize their pain. They build their entire identity around suffering and force you to carry it, apologize for it, and live beneath it. Everything is always someone else's fault. They guilt you into silence. They make you feel responsible, not just for your actions, but for their emotions. You can never win with a victim, because the moment you try to uplift them, they'll drag you back down. Nietzsche once wrote, "Beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. For if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss gazes also into you." The eternal victim is that abyss. You think you're helping, but you're only drowning. Third, we meet the charismatic liar. They're magnetic. They know how to talk, how to dress, how to draw you into their orbit. And that's exactly what makes them so dangerous. They will sell you dreams bathed in honey, only to deliver nightmares. These people are often narcissists cloaked in charm. They mirror you so well, you think you've found your soulmate. But the truth is, nothing about them is real. They're disassemblers, skilled actors who mask manipulation as love, making you emotionally dependent on their illusions. Sigmund Freud often discussed the idea of repetition compulsion, our tendency to reenact early traumas in adult relationships, especially unconsciously. These liars sense that wound and become exactly who you think you need, until they no longer benefit from pretending. Then they leave you with the mess, and move on like you never existed. Still with me? Good, because it gets deeper. The fourth is a breed that's far more complex, the passive controller. This person doesn't demand power. They don't raise their voice or issue ultimatums. They use guilt, silence, and withdrawal techniques to shape your behavior. Have you ever found yourself bending over backwards, not because they told you to, but because their disappointment was so loud in its silence? That's them. This is a person who makes you anticipate their reactions so carefully. You no longer live your life, you live theirs. Viktor Frankl believed that meaning can endure even through suffering, but only if that suffering serves a higher purpose. The passive controller, however, exploits that belief. They feed on your desire to keep the peace until your peace is gone. Halfway through, I have to ask you something important. Have you ever felt like you were living in someone else's version of you? Why does nobody talk about the pain of invisible manipulation, the kind that leaves no bruises, but breaks the spirit? We talk about abuse in extremes, but the most dangerous people don't punch, they condition. And that leads us to number 5, the secret competitor. You think they're your friend, your confidant, maybe even your partner, but to them you're just a rival to beat. Everything is a competition. Your success is their failure. They'll applaud your wins, but behind every clap is contempt. These are the people who drain your energy not by attacking you, but by subtly undermining your growth. Alain de Botton once said that our capacity to envy drives some of our deepest insecurities and hidden resentments. Social media doesn't help, it creates arenas instead of communities. The secret competitor thrives in these spaces, pretending to support you until the moment your light shines too bright. Then they dim it under the disguise of concern, criticism, or distance. These people can never truly love you because part of them always wants to be you. And finally, the 6th, the mirror mask, the most dangerous of them all. This person doesn't have a personality, they borrow one. Yours. They reflect your hopes, your pain, your dreams, not because they share them, but because they study them. They're masterful shapeshifters, to know your soul, to wrap themselves around you, all so they can use it against you later. These people weaponize intimacy. They use connection as a Trojan horse, and by the time you realize who they are, they've already reconstructed their identity through yours. You'll feel drained, confused, even broken, and for a while you won't recognize where you end and they begin. Jung spoke of the shadow self, the parts of our psyche we repress or refuse to see. The mirror mask feeds off your shadow. They make you fall in love not with them, but with the illusion of yourself that they reflect back. And when they withdraw, you're left shattered, wondering if any of it was ever real. Now, take a deep breath. Reflect. Do any of these people sound familiar? Have you ever unknowingly invited one of them into your life? Maybe you're still recovering from the emotional war you didn't know you were fighting. And here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones you can't easily leave. They're in your family. They're your boss, your childhood friend, maybe even your current partner. And that's what makes this so painful. Cutting out strangers is easy, but cutting ties with the foundational figures of your life, that takes a level of self-respect most people never reach. But this is your turning point. Awareness is the first step in reclaiming your power. Once you see them, truly see them, you can start the slow, powerful process of untangling your worth from their web. You don't need to confront them. Some people aren't worthy of explanations. Disconnection is a decision, not a debate. Sometimes healing starts with silence. Sometimes growth starts with walking away quietly, permanently, and with your soul intact. Catch your breath, because what comes next is the most important thing I can tell you. Dangerous people don't always wear danger on their face. They often wear concern. They wear love. They wear the mask of a kind sibling, a mentor, a lover. But once you learn to spot the patterns, the manipulation, the emotional hooks, the way they require you to shrink so they can feel large, everything changes. You reclaim the lens to see behavior for what it is, not what it pretends to be. And when you do, the world opens up again. Not with less pain, but with more clarity. Imagine a life where your energy is yours alone, where your confidence isn't under siege, where the people around you uplift, not erode, where success isn't envied, it's celebrated. That life is waiting on the other side of awareness. That life begins when you learn to avoid these 6. So now I have to ask you, who in your life fits these descriptions? What have you tolerated in the name of love, loyalty, or fear? And what would your life look like without that weight? If this resonated even a little, you're not alone. Thousands of silent survivors are waking up from the same invisible trauma right now. And maybe this video was the mirror you needed. Not to see yourself, but to finally see them for who they really are. If you've made it this far, I want to know who truly understood the message. Leave the phrase "the most dangerous masks look like love" in the comments, and let's see how many of you really grasp what it means to protect your peace, guard your energy, and rebuild your life with intention and courage. If this video made you question something, if it made you see things from a different angle, like and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, not everyone who holds your hand is holding your heart. Some are just testing how tightly they can grip it before they let go. Be safe, be aware, be free,